So think about this for a second. When you sit down at your desk or, clock in for your shift, how does your organization actually know what you do? Like, really know? You might be surprised, but according to some workplace surveys, nearly half of all employees feel their actual day-to-day tasks don't even match their official job descriptions. I mean, that's a massive disconnect, right? So what exactly makes a job? Well, welcome to this explainer, where we're going to completely unpack the DNA of every position in a company.
I am absolutely thrilled to guide you through this today. We're zeroing in on job analysis and documentation. Think of this as the architectural blueprint of literally every successful organization out there. Without a crystal clear concept of what a given job is and a shared language to communicate it, well, the whole organizational structure basically just falls apart, right? If the blueprint is flawed, the building leans. Okay, here's our roadmap for today. First up, decoding the job analysis. Second, gathering the right data. Third, crafting job descriptions. Fourth, defining job specifications. And finally, identifying core competencies. All right, let's jump straight into section 1, decoding the job analysis.
This right here is the absolute bedrock. It's the crucial first step that has to happen before any hiring, organizational planning, or salary decisions can even be discussed. So a job analysis is essentially a systematic study of the major tasks and responsibilities of jobs in an organization. But here's the absolute most crucial takeaway. An analysis measures the job itself, not the specific person currently doing it. It's kind of like we're measuring the exact size of the shoes required to walk the path, rather than measuring the feet of the person who happens to be wearing them right now. Make sense? We evaluate the importance of each task, the working conditions, and how the role interlocks with other jobs around it.
Moving right along to section 2, gathering the right data. Now that we know what a job analysis actually is, we have to go out and survey the land. We need primary source data. And honestly, the best way to get that is going straight to the source, the employees doing the work and the managers overseeing them. And this brings us to what I like to call the holy trinity of HR data collection, the KSAs. Our very first pillar here is knowledge. This is simply the baseline information necessary for task performance. Think of a professional baker. Their knowledge is knowing the recipe, understanding that precise ratio of flour to water, and knowing the chemical reactions of yeast. It's the pure theoretical foundation.
Next up, we take that foundation and build on it with skills. This measures the specific level of expertise needed for task performance. So if knowledge is knowing the recipe, your skill level dictates how expertly you can actually knead that dough, shape those loaves, and time the bake perfectly. It's the hands-on, practical execution of that theoretical knowledge we just talked about. And finally, we have abilities. These are the broader capabilities you absolutely need to perform the job successfully over a longer period of time. Going back to our baker analogy, abilities represent things like the physical stamina to stand at a hot counter for an 8-hour shift, or that fine motor control required for really delicate pastry work. Put it all together, and these 3 elements, knowledge, skills, and abilities, are exactly what separate a true master baker from, say, a casual weekend home cook.
So how do we actually gather these KSAs out in the real world? Well, notice how we match the collection method to the specific job type here. You can't just guess, you gotta be strategic about this. If you're analyzing short-cycle production jobs, direct observation is incredibly effective because the tasks are repetitive and super visible. But for professional roles where the tasks are a bit more mental, nuanced, or varied, face-to-face interviews are your best bet to tease out those complexities. And if you're in a situation where you need to analyze a massive number of jobs with limited resources, an open-ended questionnaire is basically your best friend. It lets you scale up efficiently, gathering structured input from hundreds of folks all at once without burning thousands of hours in interviews.
All right, section 3, crafting job descriptions. With our KSA data all gathered up, it's time to build the actual structural framework of the position. Look, a job description isn't just some dusty piece of paper you file away in a cabinet. It is a highly strategic document. We use it to document job content and perfectly match the right employees to the right roles. Actually, look at those last 2 points on the slide. Maintaining consistent descriptions is incredibly critical when you're scaling a business globally. It's what allows an organization to compare salaries across borders equitably and just seamlessly align business processes on an international scale. Now, a massive part of writing these documents is knowing what is truly critical. A solid description clearly separates the essential functions, those mandatory structural pillars, the absolute required tasks, from the non-essential functions, which are those desirable but ultimately nice to have additions. I mean, we've all seen those ridiculous job postings, right? The ones asking for 10 years of experience for a software program that's literally only existed for 5, or wanting someone who can code in 5 languages while juggling flaming swords. Separating the essential from the non-essential is absolutely vital so you can determine who is genuinely qualified without getting completely sidetracked by impossible wish lists.
Which brings us to Section 4, defining job specifications.
Let me let you in on a little insider HR secret, because confusing these two concepts is a trap organizations fall into all the time. Job specifications document the strict, bare minimums required to succeed and perform the job satisfactorily. We're talking about what is strictly necessary to get the job done right. Things like specific education levels, required years of direct experience, or maybe mandatory safety licenses. It is absolutely not a wish list for a flawless unicorn candidate.
Let's look at a concrete example to make this crystal clear. Check out this sample specification for a marketing manager. Notice how incredibly precise this is. We don't just ask for some broad, fuzzy trait like excellent communication skills. No, we specify the exact essential function. Manage all details of the request for proposal process and workflow. It takes something totally abstract and transforms it into a highly specific, measurable requirement. A candidate either meets it or they don't. Simple as that.
And finally, Section 5, identifying core competencies.
Think of it this way. We've got the foundation from our analysis, the structural framework of our job description, and the safety codes of our job specifications. Now we're adding the interior design that turns those basic tasks into actual human potential, job competencies. These are the observable, measurable skills, behaviors, and knowledge needed to truly succeed in a specific job. But unlike basic KSAs, competencies are these complex behaviors that accumulate over time. They're a culmination of multiple traits and abilities, usually developed through deep, hands-on experience. And because they're heavily behavior-based, organizations usually identify them through targeted behavioral interviews, rather than just scanning a checklist on a resume.
To really wrap your head around what a competency looks like in practice, take a look at these 6 specific ones identified by a major study for HR professionals to succeed long-term. You don't just wake up one day and learn how to be a strategy architect or a cultural steward. Take cultural steward, for instance. That isn't just a quick box you check on an onboarding form. No, it's a high-level behavior built on years of fostering healthy work environments, navigating really complex interpersonal dynamics, and actively shaping company values. These are the rich, complex behaviors that a truly competent professional embodies in their daily work. So, as we wrap up this explainer, I want you to take a really hard look at your own role. Do your daily tasks actually align with the vision and mission of your organization? Because at the end of the day, that is exactly what a proper job analysis achieves. It ensures that every single job, from the very top to the absolute bottom, is connected and actively driving toward the ultimate success of the business. Thank you so much for exploring this with me, and definitely keep learning.